23 unresolved requirements literally stopped a $90 million City of LA project for 12 years. And today, in this explainer, we're going to see exactly why your current enterprise AI project is suffering from the exact same structural defect. We're looking at a case study that, at first glance, seems like just a massive city software deployment gone completely off the rails. But by the time we wrap up, you're going to see how this historical failure is actually an urgent, glaring warning for your current projects. If you're managing digital transformation or enterprise AI right now, this is the exact trap you need to avoid. Let's dive in. So the most crucial place to start is with this absolutely staggering number, $90 million. Back in 2007, the city of Los Angeles contracted IBM to implement Maximo. Now, Maximo is an enterprise asset management software, basically a system used to manage city infrastructure, things like streets, buildings, equipment, the whole shebang. Well, as documented in the public LA City Controller audits from 2015 and 2019, which, by the way, we're using as our primary source material today, the city ultimately burned through $90 million on this single implementation. Let's look at how that money actually burned over time. According to the timeline pulled straight from those city controller audits, this whole thing kicked off in 2007. They had a $45 million budget and a very clear, highly structured 3-year timeline. So by 2010, this system should have been up and running, right? Well, not exactly. The 2015 audit found that they were 8 years in, $88 million spent, and there was still no fully operational system. And then, fast forward to 2019. 12 years in, they hit that $90 million mark, and all they had to show for it was a partial deployment to a single department. That is more than double the budget and 4 times the original timeline. Now, here's where it gets wild. This is probably the most counterintuitive part of the evidence. When a project goes this far off the rails, our first instinct is usually to blame the tech. But the 2015 audit proves that the technology itself worked flawlessly. IBM Maximo is a mature, globally deployed platform. It's used by massive airports and hospitals all over the world. It was absolutely not the wrong tool for the job. The failure wasn't a bug in the code. The failure was completely upstream. It was entirely in the requirements. Section 1. The missing business case, or the root of the $90 million mistake. If the software worked perfectly fine, we've got to look at how these IT business cases are built to find the real culprit. As explicitly documented in the 2015 audit, the original business case was basically flawed from day one. They beautifully priced out the technology, software licensing, infrastructure, configuration, you name it. But it systematically, almost comically, failed to model the massive organizational transformation actually required to make that software work. We're talking process redesign across dozens of departments, aligning data standards, union bargaining, all totally ignored. The procurement model perfectly priced the technology deliverables, but it completely missed the organizational change. Moving on to Section 2, the forensic evidence. 4 exact failure mechanisms documented in the public record. Let's break down exactly what went wrong, starting with evidence piece number 1, scope discovery. According to finding 1 of the 2015 audit, the original business case assumed there were just 3 categories of city assets: streets, buildings, and equipment. Simple enough, right? But once they actually got in there, they discovered hundreds of distinct asset subtypes, and each one had totally different maintenance schedules and departmental owners. Now, sure, scope expansion happens in pretty much every project, but the absolutely crucial point here is that the project's governance framework lacked any formal mechanism to trigger a revised budget. So what did? They just kept blindly continuing on the original budget for 18 whole months. They were basically flying blind while the gap between reality and the plan just kept growing. Evidence piece number 2. The accumulation of all those massive delays really comes down to this one single number documented in finding 3 of the audit, 23. Specifically, 23 interdepartmental data standard decisions remained completely unresolved. Think about it. Different city departments had been doing things their own siloed way for decades, and they simply couldn't agree on shared definitions for what an asset even meant in the new system. So why were just 23 decisions literally fatal to the project? Well, the audit delivers this damning verdict, quoting here, "The steering committee model did not provide sufficient authority to resolve interdepartmental disagreements, resulting in project blocking decisions remaining unresolved for periods of 6 to 18 months." End quote. They were using a consensus-based steering committee, and in the real world, that meant every single department had a veto, and there was 0 tiebreaker authority. When you multiply 23 blocking decisions by 6 to 18 months of delay each, you suddenly realize exactly how a 3-year project snowballs into a 12-year disaster. And our final piece of forensic evidence from the audits is this crazy 11-month pause. The new software required work crews to use digital tablets out in the field instead of their traditional paper timesheets. This is a massive workflow change, and obviously it had major collective bargaining implications for a unionized workforce. It was a completely 100% predictable dependency, yet the project didn't resource a labor relations expert until year 3. The result? When they finally tried to deploy the system, the union rightfully required bargaining, and the entire deployment just sat there, frozen, for an astonishing 11 months.
Section 3, the 2026 AI Parallel, the twist.
Okay, this is where we pivot from historical forensics to a direct, flashing red warning for the enterprise AI projects you're deploying right now in 2026. Here is the twist I promised you. In that 2007 LA failure, the project was killed by absent organizational governance, even though they had a perfectly quantifiable tech budget. Today, that exact same structural defect is actively killing modern AI implementations. Enterprise teams are out here beautifully modeling their API costs, their infrastructure, their integrations, but they have completely underspecified specifications and zero organizational change models. And we're pulling this straight from recent 2026 reports by arXiv, DORA, and MIT NANDA. The failure mode hasn't changed at all, it just got a fancy new name. In fact, researchers in a brilliant March 2026 arXiv's paper coined a specific term for this, the specification quality gate. Basically, this means that vague or underspecified work items result in AI generating syntactically correct but functionally wrong code. The AI agent and the reviewing agent are reasoning from the exact same ambiguous specifications. So the bottleneck in enterprise AI is no longer the code generation itself. The AI can pump out code instantly. The real bottleneck is the quality of the specifications and the organizational requirements you feed into it. Let's look at the hard data backing this up from those DORA and MIT NANDA 2026 reports. The DORA report found that highly specific testable work items actually yield a 2 times higher AI code pass rate. But the really staggering statistic, the one that should keep you up at night, comes from MIT NANDA. 95% of enterprise AI initiatives fail to reach production scale. 95%. And the root cause? It is not the AI model's performance. It's underspecified architectural assumptions. Companies are building AI against the exact same unresolved, underspecified assumptions that blocked LA's software for 12 years. Which brings us to Section 4, your AI survival checklist, and how to fix that specification gap. So how do we use this incredible historical evidence to ensure your AI projects actually make it to production without wasting millions? Before you spend a single dollar on AI infrastructure, you've got to enforce this 3-step checklist, derived directly from the failures documented in those LA audits. Step 1, budget an organizational change line item that is equal to or even greater than your technology line. Step 2, establish a clear tiebreaker governance authority. No more pure consensus steering committees that pause your project for a year and a half just because 2 departments can't agree. And step 3, resource all your blocking dependencies, things like data standardization and workforce bargaining, in year 1. Do not wait until year 3. It all boils down to this undeniable truth. The city of LA accurately budgeted for the installation, but they completely ignored the transformation. And it cost them 12 years and $90 million to learn the difference. Your enterprise AI project right now is likely built on that exact same business case model. Sure, the technology is exponentially faster today, but the organizational roadblocks, they are absolutely identical. So I leave you with this question to think about. Will you proactively budget and govern for the transformation, or are you doomed to repeat a 12-year disaster? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.